Final cards of Lost Caverns of Ixalan have been shown, and today we'll be taking a look at these final few cards to see what cool, awesome cards are in this set. Because so far, this set is shaping up to be a big game changer for Standard. I think it's going to be bigger than Wilds of Eldraine. So let's get into the brand new cards we haven't yet seen. Right, starting things off, we have Tashas Tide Binder. So we've got a 3-mana 3/2 Merfolk Wizard with Flash. Okay stats right there. When it enters the battlefield, count up to one target activate or triggered ability. If an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is countered this way, that permanent loses all abilities for as long as Tashas Tide Binder remains on the battlefield. That's incredibly strong. I'll give you an example. Let's say your opponent plays a Wandering Emperor. They play it and they want to do its -2. Right? They want to exile one of your guys or make a token, right? You can flash this in, not only stop that ability from happening, but now that Planeswalker cannot do anything. That Wandering Emperor cannot do anything for as long as this creature's on the battlefield. Not only that, it does it to triggered abilities as well, not just activate abilities. Let's say they got a Shieldred in play. You draw a card, or they draw a card, it triggers, flash this in, boom. It doesn't have Death Touch, it doesn't have the life gain, life loss. It's just a 4/5. I mean, it's still a 4/5, but it's just a 4/5. This is really, really good. On top of that, imagine countering an Atraxa. Your opponent plays an Atraxa, you flash this in, and you go, nope, countered. Not only that, it loses all this rest of its abilities. That's huge. I mean, even just the counter aspect of it is absolutely massive. And the fact is that you can do it to an artifact as well is good, but that Planeswalker, that key word Planeswalker, hey, I think this is going to be a good game changer. Next up, we got the Roaming Throne. So we got a 4-colorless artifact, 4/4 for 4. That's not too bad. With Ward 2, okay, that's pretty good. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose a creature type. It is the creature of the chosen type. And then if a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. So we basically have a tribal, colorless, tribal version of Elish Norn. I'll take that. I'll take that any day. I think that's pretty good. I mean, a 4-mana 4/4 is pretty decent stats with Ward 2. I mean, if dinosaurs are going to be really good, this could see play. If pirates are going to be really good, this can see play. We might start to see a few more tribal decks coming up with this Roman Throne. I mean, in Standard right now, there isn't really much. Maybe Soldiers is the only deck I can think of that really sees play that's tribal. Maybe Vampires, but I think this actually will help push some of these tribal decks to be really, really crazy. So yeah, I actually quite rate this one. Okay, then we have the Green God. Now, we haven't really seen this one. This is the last one that we haven't seen. 5 mana, 6/5 with Trample. Decent stats. I'm glad it's got Trample, not Reach. Okay, when it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. You may put a creature card and or a land from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. And of course, when it dies, it turns to a land. Then you can transform the land back into it if you control 10 or more permanents. So basically, the city's blessing. So, decent stats. 6/5 trample for 5 is very good. Let's say you connect with your opponent. You deal 6, right? You look at, or you reveal, top 6 cards of your library, and then you get to put a creature card or a land into the battlefield, right? Not equal to the mana cost or anything like that. So let's say, this is just thrown out there. You attack, let's say you had a 5 toughness creature and you only hit them for 1. Let's say the top card of your library was Natali, right? You could put it onto the battlefield. That's insane. Like, that's insane. This is really good. I don't know if it's going to... I think it might see play, but I don't think it's the best out of all the God Cycles. I think it's very strong. I do feel like the black and blue versions are pretty decent. Red's good as well. I think the white one's a little bit weak, but the rest of them are pretty good. This kind of goes up there, and it's quite easy to transform it back because, I mean, 10 or more permanents. It is what it is, right? That's not bad. You're going to have a bunch of lands in play anyway. Maybe you have some other stuff lying around. It is pretty decent. You get a good amount of advantage. I like the fact it's, it doesn't have to be for the mana cost or anything like that. You just literally get a creature, bang, put it into play. Really, really like this one. Okay, next we have Inti, a legendary creature, 2 mana 2/2 human knight, so it's a human, okay, no, pretty decent stats. Whenever you attack, you may discard a card. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature, it gains trample to the end of the turn. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile the top card of your library, you may play that card until your next end step. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? So I expect mono red or a red aggro based deck with this card. So let's say you play it in mono red. You play it on turn 2. You could attack, I don't know, with a Monstrous Swift Spear. You discard a card, put +1/+1 counter on the Monstrous Swift Spear. Alright, that's pretty good. Has trample. Well, I mean, that's somewhat relevant. There's a great way to get rid of excess land. Let's say you just got a bunch of land. You get a bit of mana flood in a mono red deck, which you do not want to happen. This is really good. I mean, even if it targets itself, then, you know, it's a 3/3 with trample. So I actually do really, really like that. Like, I think this is a really, really sweet card. You get that damage in. Gives you kind of, I wouldn't say card advantage, but a little bit of card filtering and card manipulation, which I do like, and red really does appreciate having that. Hey, I think this could be a really good player in mono red aggro. Look, I'm not a huge fan of mono red aggro in best of 1. It's kind of annoying, but they just got another tool. Then we have the Kite Slayer Larcanist, I believe that's how you say it. 3 mana 2/3 flying ward 1, so we have another creature with wards. Okay, it's got a little bit of protection. When it enters the battlefield, for each player, choose up to one other target artifact or creature that player controls. For as long as you have this creature on the battlefield, they become a treasure. Wait, and lose all abilities? Okay, so this is kind of an interesting one. So it's kind of like a Brutal Cathar, but not Brutal Cathar, right? Decent stats, you know, 2/3 flyer with ward 1. I would argue to say this would see play over Brutal Cathar, like in blue-white human / soldiers, but blue-white humans, could you imagine, like aggro, you play this, it's flying, it's got decent stats, it's got a bit of protection with ward 1, and I mean, it can target an artifact if need be, but you can just basically go, this creature's a treasure, you know, this Shieldred's a treasure, this, you know, whatever, it is a treasure. Like, that's huge. That's really good. I think this will see play. This will see play. I don't know what deck it will be in. This will find a home. It is really good. That ward 1, trust me, that's going to be annoying. But yeah, I think this will definitely see play. We have Aala coming in. Vampire. 2 mana 2/2. Ward pay 3 life, so quite punishing for your opponent. Whenever you gain life, you explore. So could get bigger, give you a little bit of advantage. Then destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. That's going to take some time. Could be you could do a little small life gain deck where, you know, gain a little bit of life every single turn, which could be pretty good. You know, trigger this. I mean, cool commander. I don't see it really seeing playing standard. I don't think it's very good. You know, you've got to get it to 20 power and exactly 20 power. That's going to take some time, and I kind of feel like in the deck you want to do it in, time is not really what it wants. Bit of a weird one. Right, we've got Turtle. Turtle's back, guys. Bedrock Tortoise. 4 mana. 0/6. Okay, boy, and doing much there apart from blocking. As long as it's your turn, creatures you control have hexproof, so itself has hexproof and everything else when it's your turn, which is quite nice. And then each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Right. Okay, so we basically have a 4 mana 6/6 that has hexproof on our turn and gives all of our other creatures hexproof on our turn. That's pretty good. I mean, here's the thing. Okay, let's say I'm a control deck, right? Or not even necessarily control, but I'm playing, you know, I'm relying on Wandering Emperor to deal with your creatures. This card's like, nah, mate. You know, this card's coming in going, right, I'm attacking you as a 6/6. You ain't going to exile me. I'm coming in swinging. I mean, obviously they can make a 2/2 block and then deal with it in the following turn. Maybe they can, or the turn before, if they got like a go for the throat, or, you know, lay down arms, or you know, whatever it may be. But the fact is, then let's say you play this with other creatures maybe that have haste and you want to get in there and they got hexproof. I think the hexproof makes it very key. The toughness is cute. I do like it. We've seen loads of cards in the past, you know, that have this effect, like Dora in the Siege Tower. And I do like it. I don't think there's a huge amount of creatures I can think of that have really high toughness compared to their power. But this actually might see some play. Maybe some sideboard play in best of 3. Maybe you're playing, you know, you're playing as a very removal heavy deck. You know, you don't want to protect my guys. Hey, you never know. Alright, and then we got a white creature coming in. We got Kutsil's Flanker. 3 mana 3/1 flash. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter for each creature that on it. For each creature that left the battlefield under your control this turn. So kind of like board wiper, you know, insurance, I guess. You gain 2 life and scry 2. The next target player's graveyard. So this kind of gives me Elite Spellbinder vibes type thing. You only got that 3/1. Not a flyer, actually. It looks like it does fly, but the 3 mana 3/1 with flash. Okay effects. I mean, Exile Graveyard is very good. Gaining life and scrying 2. I mean, it's okay. It's got some versatility if you're facing mono red. And then the +1/+1, I mean, so yeah, you know, the insurance is pretty good. It does go around the exile because it's left the battlefield, not died. So if everything gets exiled, this doesn't really care. This comes in and can get huge and then smack them in the face. Yeah, I think it could see more sideboard. You know, in best of 1, you probably won't see it that much. But definitely in best of 3, this to me feels like a sideboard card. Now then we got Corpses of the Lost. 3 mana enchantment. Skeletons you control get +1/+0 and have haste. When Corpse of the Lost enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black skeleton creature token. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, you may pay 1. If you do, return Corpses of the Lost to its owner's hand. So you're paying 3 mana, you get a 3/2 with haste. Because I mean, there isn't many other skeletons that I can think of. You know, yes, you can play this in multiples, but if I'm being honest, it's not great. It's not a great card to go with the Descend mechanic. There are a ton of amazing cards that go along with the Descending mechanic. But, I mean, hey, look, you know, if you want to play this in Commander, you've got a Skeleton Tribal deck, hey, go for it. Right, then we've got Starving Revenant. I talked about this card in my Descend video, but this is actually a pretty decent one. 4 mana, 4/4 is okay stats, like pretty decent. When it's battlefield, you get Surveil 2, automatically, that's really good, get some nice advantage. Then for each card you decide to keep on the top of your library, you draw it and lose 3 life. So you get a little bit of card draw. 3 life is a big chunk, right? However, if you have Descent 8, whenever you draw a card, if you have 8 or more permanents in your graveyard, you drain your opponent for 1. So now it's only costing you 2 life to draw a card, but you take 1 off them, which is quite nice, right? This is pretty good. You know, decent stats. It is in that 4-drop slot, which competes with things like Shieldred, Friction Obliterator, you know, especially in mono black. I mean, you could play this in a green-black list or red-black or whatever it is, like a black X deck. But again, it's in that 4-drop slot. It battles with Shieldred, and Shieldred's so powerful. This actually works really well with Shieldred, like if you have Shieldred in play yourself, because, well, you can start getting life off of all these card draw. But overall, I think it's actually pretty good. I think it might see play, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we have the Terratide. I actually rate this card. This is a 4 mana sorcery. All creatures get -X until the end of turn, where X is the number of permanents in your graveyard. So this is basically like the Descend type thing. Look, let's say you have 3 permanents in the graveyard. It could be 3 creatures. It could be whatever it may be. And then you go, right, 4 mana, everything gets -3/-3. That's pretty good, right? But then in that late game or mid to late game, it gets even better. Now, I wouldn't say this is a great board sweeper on turn 4. This isn't really going to get that many permanent cards in the graveyard that quickly, unless you had a weird way to mill yourself. I mean, you can mill yourself and then maybe get hit 4 permanents and go, yep, cool, here you go, -4/-4 for 4 mana, kind of like a Languish. Hey, that's pretty good. This doesn't work well with the rest of Descend, because obviously Descend wants you to have permanents, and this is a sorcery, but I do think this will see some play, and I do think it's needed to have some sort of black board sweeper, because after banning of Meat Hook Massacre, don't really have much good options. Then we have Whale of the Forgotten, so we have another Descend card, 2 mana sorcery. Again, it's a sorcery, kind of doesn't really play very well there. Choose 1. If there are 8 or more permanents in your graveyard, then you get to choose 1 or more instead. So you get to return target creature, you get to return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, which is pretty good, that's non-land. You get to make them discard a card, and you can get some nice card advantage by looking at the top 3 cards of your library, then putting 1 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. I like this, it's nice and cheap, it does pretty well. The Descent's kind of awkward, because it's a sorcery, so you kind of need lots of permanents in your graveyard to really get the effect of it. But I do like it, and I think it will see at least some play. Then we got a Dino Hulking Raptor, 4 mana 5/3 with Ward 2. Again, more Ward stuff. Okay, I'm surprised it doesn't have Trample, but has Ward 2, so it's got a decent amount of protection. At the beginning of your pre-combat and main phase, add double green. That's actually pretty good. Like, being able to ramp, right? So you go from, let's say next turn, turn 5, you go from 4 mana to potentially 7 mana. Right, because you play a land for the turn, extra 2. That's insane. And it has protection in that Ward 2. When you play it on turn 4, you get a 5/3, decent stats. Ward 2. I mean, if they want to go for the throat it, it's going to cost them 4 mana. Hey, they might not even have 4 mana. But, you know, if they do, they do. But stuff like that is really good. And I like this. I rate this. This is a big threat. Comes in, you know, get in there, deal damage. Like, this isn't like a 2/2 or something like that. This is a 5/3 with this effect, with protection in that ward. You know, being able to ramp, I mean, you can get up to maybe a Titan Industry on turn 5. You know, this is pretty good. It doesn't have to be a green creature, of course. It could be an Atali if you really wanted to. This is just crazy stuff. So, hey, I really, really like this one. And we've got another dinosaur. We got the Trumpeting Carnosaur. So 6 mana for a 7/6 with trample. Big stats. When it enters the battlefield, discover 5. Wow, this is a good discover card. I already talked in a previous video how great discover is as a mechanic. You know, kind of fixed cascade. This is pretty sweet. You imagine, let's say, right, you play this and you get the dinosaur we just saw. Right, you get a 7/6 with trample, and you get a 5/3 with ward 2, and it gives you 2 extra mana every single turn. All of that for 6 mana. Like, that's insane. Then it also has an ability where you can pay 3, discard it, and it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Now, this is great because if you're facing like an aggro deck, or you want to get to that later game where you can start casting your big dinosaurs, having the ability to discard copies of this to deal with creatures to slow your opponent down and planeswalkers, that's pretty good. You know, and we've seen it time and time again where you have these cards where they kind of have 2 different modes. Like, you imagine this was kind of like, not kind of like an adventure, but very similar, where you can just be like, look, you know what, I've got a copy of this in my hand, I've got 3 other copies of this in my deck, that's fine, I need to, you know, stabilize the board, let's just discard it, deal 3 damage, you know, destroy, kill a creature, good to go. You know, that's actually pretty good. And the fact is, it's not a sorcery. It's instant as well. It's 3 mana. You can do that at any time. I really, really like that. That's actually really good versatility. So this actually might see some play. That Discover 5, very, very powerful. There you have it, guys. That is the rest of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. We did look at a bunch of cards from the set. The really exciting set, I must say. We looked at some really nice cards today. I mean, good, strong dinosaurs. The Green God is very, very strong. And I do feel like we've got a lot of ward going on. There's a lot of creatures that have ward, and they're not just weak creatures either. These are powerful creatures. I mean, that Kite Slayer having ward 1 is going to be annoying. That dinosaur having ward 2, that's going to be annoying as well. So we are seeing a ton of ward. I rate it, like, to be fair, I think it's really, really good. I think at the moment, things just die really easy in Standard. There's such good removal, especially from black. We go for the throat and cut down, you know, ley line bindings and the like. Very, very strong. But having ward is going to help quite a bit. I really rate this set. I think there are incredibly strong cards across the board. But let me know down in the comments what is your favourite card shown in today's video. I think I'm going to have to probably give it to the Green God. That Green God is nuts. I mean, you can get some explosive turns if you connect and deal damage to your opponent, which, I mean, a 6/5 trample can do that. If you made it so far into the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe for more Magic content. We got a bunch of standard deck techs coming with Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Hey, I can tell you right now, definitely coming for dinosaurs. But we're going to be covering all sorts of different decks to help improve your game and have a bit of fun. Alright, that is it from me, guys, in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.